And AKS IAS Academy is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers coaching for the exams like UPSC, State Public Service Commission, and then SSC CGL, CLAT exam. So do take the advantage of visiting AKSIS Academy. And about me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are: I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session will certainly help you to crack prelims and mains examinations, because I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the news items. So the emphasis on the keywords and the key phrases will certainly help you to identify, or I will make you to get into the mode of identifying the factual, analytical, and also the conceptual questions which are very important for the prelims point of view. So definitely by emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, you will get into the mode of having the factual, analytical, and conceptual questions for the prelims, and this will certainly help you in regards to prelims point of view. And in regards to mains point of view, imbibing the keywords or the key phrases will definitely help you in your answer writing, so that your answers would be very precise and concise. And once your answers are precise and concise in regards to the mains examinations, so thereby your answers would be very impressive, to the point, and you will definitely score more marks in the mains examinations. So certainly my session will help you to crack both prelims and mains for 2020 as well as 2021. And this session is in regards to the daily news analysis, that is DNA, that is today's news analysis which we would be taking up in this session, that is on 11th of August, that is today, that is in regards to the daily news analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And I would reiterate and re-emphasize my tagline that I would be focusing on the keywords and the key phrases which will certainly help you for prelims and mains examinations, and will also make you feel comfortable even in the interview, that is in the personality test. And the quote of the day is: there are no limits to what you can accomplish. So there are no limits to what you can accomplish except the limits you place in your thinking. So definitely there are limits in your thinking. So these limits in your thinkings has to be removed, so that you can accomplish, so that you can reach your goal, so that you can be a successful person. So what is important is there are no limits to what you can accomplish. So what you want to accomplish, there are many, but what is that limitation you have is your own thinking, your own thinking. So that limits on your thinking has to be removed. Once it is been erased, then definitely you can accomplish, and you can accomplish n number of goals. Then there will not be any kind of limits on your accomplishments or your success or reaching the goal. So definitely there should not be any limits onto your thinking. So first remove your limits in regards to your thinking, so definitely you can achieve everything in your life. So this is a quote of the day which is in regards to your thinking capacity, mindset, your imagination, your belief. All these are very important. And before I get into the topic, that is daily news analysis, I would say a very good morning to everyone who is in the live and also in the live chat. So I would say good morning to Praveen, Nandita, Bhargav, Vijaya, Sports Adda. I do not know his name. And US Manbi, Usman B. Okay. David Paul, D. Suvarna, Ashwini Ravikumar, Shravani, Harika Yadav, Malvika Sajivan, Gopinayak, Jersingi Hanu, Madhava, Karthik have joined now. So everyone, very good morning to you all. So now we'll get into the topic, that is daily news analysis. So today's news is in regards to the lockdown hit treatment under PMJAY. Lockdown. So because of the national lockdown, and this national lockdown, as we know, is only because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. The country has gone for a national lockdown. And when the country has gone for the national lockdown, so definitely it had a significant negative impact when the country has gone for the national lockdown. We know the result or the consequences of the national lockdown. We have seen the health crisis, economic crisis, we have seen the labor crisis, we have seen again the humanitarian crisis. So health crisis, economic crisis, labor crisis and humanitarian crisis. And when we are now focusing on the health crisis, so this is part of the the topic what we are discussing is the negative impact on health system, on health system. So we will look at the negative impact of on the health system because of the national lockdown which India has forced, and the entire world has going ahead with the national lockdown because of the COVID-19 and its impact, negative impact on the health system. So when we are talking of the health system, it is on the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So this is very important. So the keyword here is Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is the keyword. So what is the negative impact on this health scheme or else the insurance scheme? So this is an insurance scheme. It is an insurance scheme by the government of India to the poor and vulnerable people, So the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana has seen a negative impact, and that is in regards to the impact, especially in regards to the inpatients. So the inpatients care. So you have the outpatient, you have the inpatient in any hospital. So the inpatient care in regards to the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana has fallen. The number of cases, inpatient care cases has reduced. So we will look at, we know that why it has reduced. Why? The reason is why? Because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation or the national lockdown. And this we need to really look at it, because the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is the one which is actually focusing on the healthcare of the country, that is the poor and vulnerable people. So for that it is very important for our prelims and also for the mains point of view, how the government of India has looked into making it sure that the health insurance scheme provided by the government of India to the poor and vulnerable sections have been badly hit in regards to the claims of the volumes, claims of the insurance scheme, claims of the health insurance scheme. So which health insurance scheme are we talking about? We are certainly talking about the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And the states which have been badly hit in regards to the claims of the health insurance scheme is definitely more than 70%, 75% of the claims have been steeply declined in Assam, in Maharashtra and Bihar. And the countries which have been just 25% or less than that is the states, extremely sorry for the states. So the states which have been badly hit, the decline in regards to the claims of volumes in regards to the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana claims is that Assam, Maharashtra and Bihar. And the states which are not much of affected but around 25% is Uttarakhand, Punjab and Kerala. So this is very important, that how the states, various states have different statistics because of the national lockdown impact on the health insurance scheme, that is the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So Assam, Maharashtra and then Bihar 75% decline of claims of insurance scheme, that is Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. This the insurance scheme claim has been reduced 75%, and this, if you look at, generally this has been declined. The inpatients inpatients have been reduced, especially in regards to the child delivery or the delivery cases and oncology related to cancer or oncology. The child delivery or the oncology have been reduced. That means the patients who were earlier very high in regards to the child delivery and oncology has been reduced, and because of the national lockdown much of them have been affected in regards to the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana are being affected is women and then younger people and then older people. Women, younger and older people, that means the age who are under less than 20 and then greater than 60, under age less than 20 and under greater than 60. So what is that we need to focus here is the states which have been steepest decline in regards to the claims or the inpatients are Maharashtra, Bihar and Assam, and the states which are just 25% decline is Uttarakhand, Punjab and Kerala, and the inpatients which have been reduced is child delivery and then oncology. So the keyword is Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is a keyword. Is a keyword what we need to focus. And we were looking at the inpatients which have been reduced is especially in regards to the child or delivery, child delivery, in regards to child delivery and also in regards to oncology, and they have been impacted in regards to the cataract operation. What do you mean by cataract operation? This is in regards to the eye operation. Cataract is eye operation and the joint replacement. So these are the areas or the wherein there were many of the cases, inpatient cases, which were approaching the hospitals and then claiming the health insurance scheme, that is in regards to the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So which are the one which have been actually the number of patients have been reduced is in child delivery, oncology, cataract operation, that is eye operation, joint replacement, and then in regards to the neonatal package is also has come down. Neonatal in the sense just born babies, and the one is hemodialysis. So even in regards to dialysis the patients have reduced. So hemodialysis is, hemo is wastage, so wastage especially in the renal. So this wastage which is actually taken out from the body, if it is not taken out then it will be toxic. Toxic in the sense which will really create like septic, you call it toxic, is which becomes septic in the body. So these are the cases wherein it is actually the inpatients are been approaching the hospital to claim the health insurance. So these, along with that, cardiovascular surgeries. So that is, cardiovascular is the heart diseases. So heart diseases. So these are the one which the cases are being for these services, health services, but they have been badly hit. And there was a policy brief which has been done, and it is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana under lockdown. So please do understand this key phrase. Under lockdown, evidence on utilization trends. So this is very important. It could be your mains question also. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana under lockdown. Evidence on utilization trends. So what kind of evidence were there for utilizing the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana? And what the health expert says is because of the national lockdown and the way it has been impacted when we are talking about impact, that is in regards to the claims. What claims are we talking about? Health insurance scheme claims. This is in regards to, as I said again, Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And what the health experts are saying is that they are ensuring least possible impact on key health programs will be ongoing challenge. So the impact on the, what is the challenge now here? What the health experts say is the challenge is definitely there would be a negative impact on key health programs. This is very important for the mains point of view. The challenge for the government of India in regards to the health infrastructure and health system in India post COVID-19 pandemic situation is the negative impact on key health programs will be a major challenge. And how it can be focused? By a close monitoring. Please do understand the negative impact post COVID-19 pandemic situation on India's health infrastructure and health system is the negative impact on key health programs. Please do understand here the key phrase is health programs. So all the health programs you need to keep a track of it, because there could be a possibility that it would be a question in the prelims as well as mains, because the health programs which the government of India has taken an initiative to make sure that the poor and then vulnerable people are protected because of the health insurance scheme, that is Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And under lockdown, it is under lockdown, what impact it has. So this you need to focus. And before I get into the next topic, I would say IS, I do not know your name. IS has joined. K. Ramlu, Madhu, Sumana Reddy, Rahul, Satyanarayana, Prithviraj. Very good morning to you all. Welcome to AKSIS Academy of Daily News Analysis. And now I will focus on the additional information. So this is an additional information which I am providing for you, which will be very useful for prelims point of view, because as I said, this is an health program, and what the health experts are saying is definitely there would be a challenge on the key health programs because of the national lockdown, especially because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So we will look at the about what is ABPMJAY. So it is the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, and it is a flagship scheme by the government of India. So Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is the flagship. It is a flagship program that is by the government. Flagship program or the scheme by the government of India, and it is an health insurance scheme. It is an health insurance scheme for whom? For poor or for lower section or lower income lower section, and for the vulnerable people. And what is the other important is it is the world's largest government funded program, largest government funded healthcare program. So that is why you need to really focus on this. It is the world's largest government funded healthcare program, and it targets how many beneficiaries? 50 crore beneficiaries. It targets 50 crore beneficiaries. That means the number of poor, lower and vulnerable people it will identify the government, and it will make sure that they will be provided the health insurance scheme. And this health insurance scheme, when we are talking about, it is rupees 5 lakh per family, per year. And definitely this is a Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is an financial protection. It is a health insurance, it is a financial protection by the government to the poor vulnerable people. And this main motto of the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is for promotive, prevention, curative and rehabilitation. So definitely it will go ahead with promotive of the health, promotion of the good health. It will prevent any kind of diseases, it will cure and it will rehabilitate. And these are all in regards to the universal health care. And this keyword is again very important. It is in regards to the universal. When I am saying universal, again it is in regards to the sustainable development goals of UN, United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So part of it, it is a universal healthcare and it is the world's largest government funded health scheme. So this is important. That is the additional information which I am providing you for the prelims as well as mains point of view. So there is another news which talks about the Naga peace talks hit a roadblock. So definitely there is another news which talks about the peace talk. So it is in regards to the national security, or you can say internal security. So the keyword here is for the national security or internal security. So what is that for the national security? What the government has done is, it has gone ahead with the peace talks. It has taken up the peace talk. The government has gone ahead with the peace talk. With whom? Nagas. Nagas from where? Nagaland. So they have gone ahead with the peace talks. Especially these peace talks have taken place on, or there was a framework agreement. By a peace talk there was framework agreement. So there was a framework, and this is called as a framework agreement between the government of India, and the NSCN, I will tell you, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, IM. Fine. So there was a framework agreement between Government of India and NSCN IM on August 3rd. Please do understand, August 3rd, 2015. So we are looking into, now this is a little bit of background why we are focusing on that, and what is that the peace talk between the government and the Nagas have gone for a road bump in the sense now it is not really smooth between the both the NSCN IM, that is Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, and the government of India. But they have gone ahead with a framework agreement. They have got, both of them have come up with an agreement that is called as the framework agreement on August 3rd, 2015. And who has mediated this? Who has mediated? Mediated in the sense who has done some mediation. Who has done some mediation is by name called as R.N. Ravi. So R.N. Ravi has mediated the framework agreement between the government of India and the Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, that is Isak and Muva. IM is Isak and Muva. I'll tell you all that. Don't worry. And now why the issue has come is, or why it is in news. Why it is in news. Now we will look at this. Why it is in news is because you have actually NSCN, Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, and then it has been separated as NSCN K and NSCN IM. K is Kaplan, the name of the person where they have separated. K is Kaplan, KHAPLAG, Kaplan. IM is Isaac and another person is Muva, MUIVAH. So NSCN has been split. I will take up another day entirely about NSCN Naga issues. That is in regards to the internal security. We will take up. Don't worry. But in general, I am giving the basic information. NSCN has been separated as NSCN K, that is Kaplan, NSCN IM. Fine. So here, what has happened is the NSCN Kaplan did not come in regards to the agreement with the government. So it is now as an organization which is disturbing the internal affairs or internal security. But NSCN IM, as I said, they have come up with a framework agreement on August 3rd. As I said, framework agreement on August 3rd, 2015. Fine. But now what NSCN IM is making a statement is that it is not happy with the person who has mediated, that is RN Ravi has mediated the framework agreement between the Government of India and NSCN IM. IM is Isaac, the name of the person, and Mua. So there are two persons. Isaac has passed away. Fine. So Muha, RN Ravi has mediated. Now what NSCN IM says is this person RN Ravi in the year to August 3rd, 2015 as a mediator now is appointed as governor. He has been appointed as governor of Nagaland. Please do understand. He is now appointed as governor of Nagaland, and in the capacity of the governor of Nagaland, what he has done is he has written a letter. Governor, that is N. Ravi, has written a letter to the government of Nagaland, that some groups or else a dozen of groups, armed groups are definitely getting into the mode of that they are creating problems to the democracy, to the state government. So that is what it is, and then the governor also is making it very clear, has made a statement to all the government officials that whether their relatives are being part of the underground or else they are with the armed groups wherein they are creating problems to the democracy. So that letter which has been posted or which has been written by governor to the government of Nagaland has created a problem, and now NSCN IM is wanting N. Ravi that he be removed, be removed from the position. Which position are we talking about? Governor of Nagaland. See, so this N. Ravi has been appointed as Nagaland governor in the year 2019. In the year 2015, he was just as a mediator. But in 2019, now he has been appointed as governor. Now he is governor. So he has written a letter on June 16th that a dozen of armed groups are definitely creating problems to the government. They are creating problems to the government. That is what the letter has been written to the Nagaland Chief Minister. So that is what is important. So thereby NSCN IM is not happy with the letter written by the governor to the Nagaland Chief Minister. And on July 7th, the letter is also asking the government officials to declare, if their family members are relatives or members of the underground organization. So definitely these letters have created problems that the NSCN IM wanted now N. Ravi, now who is the Nagaland's governor, to be removed. and this person is the chief of IM, and the chief of IM is NSCN IM is Tungaling Mua. So he is Mua. This person is Mua. You can see the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Ajit Doval here. So definitely it was a very conducive atmosphere that the government was trying to bring or get into the peace talks with the few of the organizations. But definitely now the situation is going out of control because of the governor's letter written that few armed organizations are creating problems or facing or posing challenge to the legitimacy of the state government. So these two have really caused a concern to MUA, is MUA. And the governor is suggesting to the NSCN IM, and this letter has, what the leader is saying is, it is an insult to the leadership itself. And not only that, we have seen in 2015 there was a framework agreement, but we also have in the year 2001 itself there was a ceasefire agreement. There was a ceasefire agreement, and these two both are in regards to the NSCN IM with the government of India. So then it was the other government, 2004 to 2014 it was the UPA. Prior to that again we had the other government, NDA, and then now again we see in 2015 we have the framework agreement. So what is important is, as per the NSCN, you need to focus on the ceasefire agreement 2001 and then framework agreement 2015. And definitely NSCN IM is not happy with the letter written by the governor to the Nagaland Chief Minister. So this is what is in regards to the NSCN IM. Isaac Mua not really happy with the governor. And there is another news which talks about, and before I get into, Ram Kumar have joined. Very good morning to you, Ram Kumar. And the other news is that it will not be a zero academic year. It will not be a zero academic year. So who is saying this? The Higher Education Secretary or the Higher Education Ministry itself has told whom? Has told the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource Development. So the Education Ministry has told to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. So please do understand here, when I am saying Parliamentary Standing Committee is a keyword, and a couple of days back have spoken about the entire, about the Parliamentary Standing Committee, how many have been there, 17 to 24. I've told everything. Please again try to focus once again that Parliamentary Standing Committee for prelims point of view as a keyword. So the Education Secretary has told to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource Development that this year will not be a zero academic year. Will not allow. It is saying will not allow this year as a zero academic year without any teaching or examination. So definitely what the suggestion given by the Parliament or by the Higher Education Secretary of Ministry to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on HRD is that definitely they are making sure that there would be teaching which would take place and also examinations would be conducted in this year, and there will not be any zero academic year this 2021. And definitely the Education Minister is also focusing on the decision on physical reopening of the schools and colleges, and then definitely the Education Minister is focusing on the physical reopening of the schools and colleges, and this will take place by discussions with the educational institutions plus the state governments plus health plus home ministry. Please do understand, this is conceptual understanding. Education ministry or minister is very much focused on whether the decision in regards to the physical reopening of the schools and colleges would be taken up, and it will be taken up. He is saying likely these are colleges are likely within 10 to 15 days after discussion with the educational institutions, state governments, health and home ministries. So definitely 1, 2, 3, 4 are involved, and after discussion their recommendations or their suggestions will be taken up by the education minister, and they will look into that when the schools and colleges can be reopened, physical reopened. So very clear that the ministry, education ministry is making it very clear to the parliamentary standing committee that this year will not be a zero academic year, will not be a zero academic year. And the parliamentary committee, standing committee on HRD, the chairman is Vinay, P. Vinay. So this is again important, and this meeting has taken place in regards to the preparedness of school, higher and technical education sectors during COVID-19 pandemic situation. So how the education ministry is prepared in regards to opening of the school, colleges, or in regards to the higher education and technical education during the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So what is here the keywords are the Parliamentary Standing Committee on HRD and the education institutions, state governments, health and home ministry. And the meeting has been conducted on the preparedness of school, higher and technical education sectors during COVID-19 pandemic, and zero academic year is the keyword. And this is very important, what the education ministry is making it very clear is that reopening of the schools and colleges is under the purview of state governments. Please do understand here. This is again very important for the conceptual understanding. State governments is under the purview of the state governments, and education comes under which list? It's the question to all. Please answer in the chat box. Education comes under which list? Is it state, center or concurrent? Again, why I am asking is this is again important for prelims point of view. So here the reopening of the schools, what the ministry officials are saying, it is under the purview of the state governments, and they will definitely take a call after assessing the local spread of the pandemic. So definitely state subject, Rahul says state subject, Anupama says concurrent list, Satyanarayana says concurrent list. Any more? And what the ministry is also making it very clear is that they are focusing on the state of digital education. They are focusing on the state in the sense the condition of digital education. They are focusing on the innovative ways. They are focusing on, and they are also focused on the integrated voice recording system, which is being now followed in the state, that is Andhra Pradesh. So definitely the ministry is focusing on the digital education and what kind of innovative ways the state government is taking up, such as integrated voice recording system, which is taken up by the Andhra Pradesh. And this ministry is also focusing on the community radio, usage of community radio, and then also the district newspapers. Please do understand all these are measures. Which you can write it in your mains answer. What is for what? Preparedness of reopening of schools, higher and technical educations during the COVID-19 pandemic situation, and how the education ministry is saying that the reopening of the schools falls under the purview of the state governments, and the state governments will definitely take a call after assessing the local spread of the pandemic and then it is also focusing on how the digital education is taken up across the states and what are the innovative ways taken up for the online classes. For example, like integrated voice recording system, which is being used in Andhra Pradesh, and also the members are suggesting, that is the education ministry is also suggesting the usage of the community radio and the district newspapers wherein internet coverage is patchy in the sense wherein you have this concept wherein you have the digital divide. That means wherein you have the digital infrastructure is very low, wherein the digital infrastructure is very poor, or digital divide. There you can use all this. And as per the United Nations policy, we have seen this in the last couple of days back. So almost 24 millions children have dropped out of the school, and definitely they will not come back to the schools once again once the schools reopens. If it is going, if this entire year is definitely under what you say lockdown, and if the schools are not reopened, these 24 million people will not come back to the schools. Not only that, the learning losses, that is the learning process will be totally lost, and the one who will be badly impact are, as I said earlier also, girls and the poor families, and also children with disabilities. So these all are very important points wherein you can put it, you can imbibe in your answer. Yeah, now I would say it is concurrent list, IVRS. It is an okay. Integrated voice recording system is a kind of digital education. It's a digital integrated voice recording. So you will record the class, and then again later on you will go ahead with probably in the radio, community radio, or else in the through the All India radio. Fine, and also few local channels. You can go ahead with airing it. So those are all the measures taken up by the Andhra Pradesh. So the answer is yes, concurrent list. And there's another news which talks about UGC says states can't cancel exams. So again, see, one was in regards to the education ministry, that is in regards to the reopening of the schools, higher education and technical education during, or else preparedness of reopening of the schools, higher education, technical education during the COVID-19 pandemic situation. We have looked at one news, and the other one is in regards to the exams, university grants commissions. So we are talking about the exams, conducting of the exams. So definitely the UGC has made it very clear that it is strongly objecting. UGC is strongly objecting. Why? Because Maharashtra and Delhi, both Maharashtra and Delhi governments have employed or brought in Disaster Management Act, and this is very important, this concept. Both Maharashtra and Delhi government has employed, that is they brought in the Disaster Management Act. Why they have brought in Disaster Management Act? To cancel what? The examinations. Which examinations? That is the graduate level examinations. So definitely because of this statement by the Maharashtra and Delhi government, UGC on August 10, that is yesterday, had strongly objected, and the government, the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, has appeared before the bench, that is Justice Ashok Bhushan, and then they have said that the conduct of the elections was entirely in the domain of the UGC. So this is very important. So the way the Maharashtra and the Delhi government has employed that or brought in the Disaster Management Act to cancel the examinations. So what now the UGC says is, that is University Grants Commission says is the conducting of the examinations. Conducting of the examination is totally under the domain of UGC. So the states cannot decide, the state government cannot decide the conducting the examinations or cancellations of the examinations, because the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has put forth in front of the bench, which is been led by Justice Ashok Bhushan, saying that the conduct of the examination falls, or it is entirely under the domain of the UGC, which is a statutory body. The states could not go on and cancel the examination on their own. So what is very important here is that you need to focus the UGC. UGC is a statutory body, and the conducting of the examinations or cancellation of the examination falls under the domain of UGC, which is a statutory body. And the government, that is Maharashtra and Delhi government, have invoked the Disaster Management Act. Please to understand, this is very important for the prelims point of view or else mains point of view. They can ask that whether the invoking of the Disaster Management Act can curtail the powers of UGC. The invoking of Disaster Management Act by state governments can curtail the power of UGC. Comment. So for mains point of view, so again this is in regards to general essay, again education. See, look at it, various different ways we can look at the issue from prelims and from mains point of view. From prelims point of view, which among the following acts were invoked by the Maharashtra and Delhi government to cancel the examinations of the students amid the COVID-19 pandemic situation? So you have the Disaster Management Act or NDMA, National Disaster Management Act, or State Disaster Management Act, or else in regards to the Essential Commodities Act. Fine. So it is the Disaster Management Act. So this is very important. And the UGC has said that they have got information from 818 universities, and out of this 818 universities, 603 universities have almost conducted the final year exam, or they are in the process. So out of the 818 universities, what the information the UGC has received, and they have informed to the court, UGC, that is the Solicitor General, Tushar Mehta has informed the court that the UGC, by filing an affidavit, has got an information out of 818, 603 universities have conducted, or they are in the process of conducting the examinations. Conducting the examination in the month of August, September 2020. So definitely the government is in the mood of not making it a 0 year, or else the examinations will be certainly conducted, but focusing on the safety and health of the students, focusing on the guidelines which have been issued or in compliance with the July 6 guidelines which have been issued. So the UGC is strongly advocating the conduct of the final year exams by September 30, and that is in regards to the July 6 guidelines. So these guidelines are in regards to what? In regards to the safety and health of the students. And why this has come, why this is in the in the court? Because it has been filed, a petition has been filed by 30 students. Why they have filed a petition? Because these 30 students have filed a petition challenging the conduct of examination during the pandemic situation, taking into consideration of the safety and health of the students. But again, the UGC is making it very clear that we will go ahead with conducting the exam by September 30 in compliance. In compliance in the sense, we will follow the guidelines of July 6 guidelines, that is in regards to keeping in mind the safety and health of the students. So this is very an educational aspect news, wherein one side the government is very much focused, that is the education ministry is very much focused that this year will not be in regards to the as a zero year, zero year, and the other one is UGC is definitely to conduct the examinations by September 30, 2020, UGC exam, graduation exam. And the another news is India's imports from China rise in June and July. So here it is in regards to the imports. Imports or Indian imports from China. India's imports from China. So definitely if you look at it has risen in the month of, so the imports have rise. Imports have rise in the month of July. Please do understand. Please focus here. It has risen in the month of July, but it was low. It was low in the month of April and in the month of May. Again, it has rose in the month of June. So what is that is because of the COVID-19 or because of the global supply chain system was badly hit. Because of the global supply chain, as it has been badly hit because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the imports and exports across the world have been slowed down, decreased, and again focusing in regards to the India's imports have been very low in the month of April and May, but it has slowly started rising in the month of June, and it has risen in the month of July. So we will focus that what was in the month of April and May. In the month of April and May, it was 3.2 billion. The imports were in regards to the 3.2 billion US dollars. Fine. In the month of June, it was 4.8 billion US dollars. And in the month of July, it is now 5.6 billion US dollars. So what does it indicate? Then the figure, the April and May, it was both together, it was 3.2 billion in regards to the imports, India, or else the Chinese exports towards India, to India. June, it has increased 4.8 billions, and then in July 5.6. So definitely there is a increase, there is an increase or surge of India's imports from China, especially in June and July, wherein it was very low in the month of April and May because of the COVID-19 pandemic or the national lockdown. And many of the Chinese exports are in regards to the medical supplies. Please do understand. So the imports what we are talking, that they have increased, imports have increased, are in regards to the medical supplies. So you might get doubts that we have stopped almost all the applications and all that. And even in regards to the defense product, we are going ahead with the indigenous manufacturing unit supporting and all that. We wanted to reduce the imports and increase the exports. Yesterday we were talking about, but here the imports have increased in regards to the medical supplies. So this is very important. Please do understand, in regards to medical supplies, it has increased imports. And in regards to the two-way trade between India and China, it is in China's favor. It is tilted in China's favor. That means we are importing. That means India's, please do understand, India's imports and India's exports. So India's imports are high, India's exports are less. So that is why it is in China's favor, and it is the two-way trade or between both the countries is 43.37 billion US dollars, which is again in China's favor. And this trade surplus, that means the imports and exports, that is why the imports are high and the exports are less. That is why there is a trade surplus. The trading is what do you say, more of imports from India side, less of exports from India side, or else more of exports from China side, less of imports into China from India. And this jump in exports is in regards from China side is because of the medical supplies. And this, when we are talking about in regards to the medical supplies, that the imports have increased from China to India. These are in regards to the masks. We are talking about the medical supplies, the mask, the medical products, that is in regards to the PPEs, also personal protective equipments, and also the work from home equipment. So all the equipments now in regards to the digitalization, if you look at, all those are the equipments we are talking about, which are in regards to the digitalization. So in regards to that, they have been increased. So definitely the economy point of view, the imports are higher compared to April, May, and slowly rising from June, and then July it has risen. So definitely imports in regards to the medical supplies are there. So the question for the day in regards to the mains is, the WHO has been reduced to coordinating body. WHO has been reduced to coordinating body. Beholden. What do you mean by beholden? That is obliged or bound. That means WHO is obliged or bound to the interest of rich member states. Critically evaluate. The WHO has been reduced to a coordinating body, not a, what is a controlling body. It has been reduced to a coordinating body. Beholden in the sense obliged or bound in the sense they have to be listening. The WHO is bound to listen to the interest of the rich member states. Critically evaluate. So it is a negative statement onto the WHO. Onto the WHO, how you would evaluate it is a question mark. It is a negative statement, that is, it has been reduced to the coordinating body and it is bound to the interest of the rich member states. So whether you support it or you do not support it, and how you actually say that probably because of XYZ reasons it has become a coordinating body, and how the rich member countries have pulled out the budgeting. For example, US had stopped budgeting the WHO, and how US and China have the trade war, and how USA has stopped budgeting the WHO, and how China is really supporting the WHO, and then how China is not really wanting the Hong Kong or Taiwan to be part of the WHO member. So this in regards to that, rich member states coordinating body reduced interest are the one which you need to focus. So here what is that we are focusing is whether WHO has become irrelevant. I mean, what does this statement means is whether WHO whether WHO has become irrelevant, as there are questions which are raised that whether United Nations Security Council, whether WTO, whether the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, whether now when we are talking about again WHO and also NAM, whether all these are slowly losing their relevance and are they becoming irrelevant in the 21st century. So I've just, now the topic is in regards to WHO, but I'm just giving an additional information that how NAM, WHO, UNSC, WTO, and then United Nations Convention on Climate Change have become irrelevant. So focusing on this, make sure that you would write the answer. So if you recapitulate what we have looked at, so it is in regards to the welfare scheme, that is health insurance scheme. This is again very important for prelims and also for the mains point of view. And this is in regards to the internal security, which is again for prelims as well as mains point of view. And this is in regards to the education, and both these are in regards to the education, which talks about how the UGC has the domain of conducting the education, and how the education ministry is saying that this year will not be a zero academic year, will not be a academic year, zero academic year. And then this is in regards to the economy, in regards to the imports and exports. So I hope this session was very informative, knowledgeable session for you in regards to the prelims, and also for the mains point of view. We have looked at length because welfare schemes, health related. Today we are focused on health and education. Today we are focused on, if you look at, we are focused on health, we are focused on education, we are focused on national security and economy. So main is health and education, and we are focused. So I hope it was a very informative, knowledgeable session, and I would thank you and a good luck. And before you sign off or before you log off, please do like and share and subscribe the AKSIS Academy, that is daily news analysis, and you can also visit the AKSIS Academy website and also the Telegram link. And again, see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. And then I would again say you all that please do maintain the consistency, and then stick to your schedule, and then take care of your physical and mental health. Physical and mental health. So I would see you tomorrow again at 7:30 a.m. Until then, make sure that you are in the right track of preparation. And I would also say a very big thank you to all of you who are in the live and also in the live chat. Thank you all.